Talmor, Shishin Magachi. Talmor is my home. My family have worked the land for generations. My gran says the island does not belong to us, but we belong to the island. And we must be ready, for a great evil is coming, and death follows with it.
Listen and subscribe to the latest season of Undertow, The Harrowing, a Storyglass production presented by Realm, available wherever you get your podcasts.
Contained herein are the heresies of Radolf Burntwine, erstwhile monk turned traveling medical investigator. Join me as I uncover the blasphemous truth of a plague-ridden world, that ours is not a loving God, and we are not its favored children. The Heresies of Radolf Burntwine, coming January 2nd, wherever podcasts are available.
And now, stop me if you've heard this before on the Toddcast podcast.
As a fan of MMA, you're well aware of the veteran voice of the Octagon, Bruce Buffer, the official announcer for the UFC events. It's time! He announces the main events, oddly. Like, what are the chances his half-brother is boxing and pro wrestling ring announcer Michael Buffer? Incredible. Bruce holds a black belt in Tang Soo Do and has fought as a kickboxer himself. And when he called up to be a guest, we talked about binge-watching shows, Daredevil and Shark Tank, great shows. He shared what it's like to have such a unique vantage point of the UFC. He talked about the first McGregor-Diaz fight. We got into comic books and collecting sports memorabilia. He even shared a near-death experience story. And stop me if you've heard this before, Bruce talked about the early days of the UFC and how it's been an evolutionary process for the organization.
Yeah, I mean, you're dealing with a spectacle. You know, it went from a spectacle to sport is exactly what happened.
Right.
And, the rules had to be modified. They had to be refined. The words mixed martial arts weren't even invented until about, I think, 6 or 7 years into the UFC's existence by an ex-commentator, Jeff Blatnick, who passed away a few years ago, and was the man who overcame cancer to win the gold medal in the Olympics. It's different. You know, it was amazing back then, but it would not have got as big as it was today if it had not been refined, because it was just too much of a spectacle.
Stop me if you've heard this before on the Toddcast podcast is powered by FKP MMA, Vancouver's #1 training destination at fkpmma.com.
GZM Shows and the creators of 6 Minutes are rolling out their newest audio adventure with the podcast Discovering Dad. A cautious single dad with a secret past and his rebellious kids embark on a thrilling quest complete with hidden treasure, villains, and a family curse. New episodes of Discovering Dad roll out weekly starting June 11th on Apple Podcasts. Follow the show so you never miss an episode, or listen early and ad-free as a GZM Shows subscriber. Go to gzmshows.com to learn more.
Hey there, it's Rachel Ballinger, and I am extremely excited to invite you to Rachel Uncensored. It's my podcast where I sit down and get real with my friends and celebrity guests, where we talk about all sorts of topics. And sometimes we might be under the influence when we do so. We cover things from personal stories to hot-button issues. And it's the only place on the internet you can find an uncensored version of me. It's a side of me that you might not have seen before because it's not the most family or brand friendly. But don't worry, I'm still sort of slightly a decent human being. If you're intrigued, then make sure you check it out. New episodes drop every Wednesday. You can find it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Trust me, you won't want to miss out on the fun and candid conversations we have here on Rachel Uncensored.